As introduced by my colleague a few minutes ago, I'm Angelo Kairos Dela Cruz. You can call me Kairos. I'm the Deputy Executive Director of the Institute for Climate and Sustainable Cities, or ICSC. ICSC is an international organization based here in the Philippines. We work on fair climate policy, energy transitions, energy policy, and climate finance. I was tasked to talk about the Multiactor Partnership's implementation here in the Philippines, since ICSC is the country implementer of the Multi-Actor Partnership project, which is a position that we hold together with other organizations across Asia and Africa. In the next few minutes, what I will discuss is MAP implementation here in the Philippines, what we learned so far, what at some extent even what we failed to do so. Currently, MAP Phase 2, it's being evaluated by its supporter, the federal government of Germany, but we're quite optimistic that it will push through. And here are some of the things that I think can go beyond MAP Phase 2 and can actually help bigger things such as Global Shield in terms of implementation. Yeah, so let me go on with it. The MAP Phase 2 here in the Philippines, the Multi-Actor Partnership Phase 2, it will take into account the learnings and failures from Phase 1. And we say that we had a lot of failures and challenges simply because MAP Phase 1 happened right in the middle of the pandemic and the restrictions due to COVID. I mean, of course, it's more important, but also it creates this vacuum of it's very hard to collaborate. I think everyone can share and agree with me on this. Zoom meetings, online meetings can only do so much, particularly if you're trying to establish a community of practice such as MAP. In the spirit of we keep on saying failing forward, right? I mean, it was first introduced, the phrase was first introduced to us by Sonke Kreft of MCII in one of our meetings in Bali. And we resonated with that. It resonated with us simply because we would have challenges along the way, particularly if you're organizing a loose network such as MAP. But you have to have a level of confidence that the new partnerships, and for us, we're quite excited that we have new partners in the legislature. We have new partners working for the private sector. We have national governments being interested in CDRFI and how they can help in the MAP implementation. We are confident despite the challenges and the failures, we can just move forward. And a lot of that moving forward will reside on the new partnerships that we're able to create. The new partnerships will push us closer to where we want to be. And I'm saying that not only for the MAP implementing team, but I think for the whole region, if not for the whole Global Shield. We need to expand the MAP membership. It's something that I think a loose network such as a MAP really enjoys. It allows the network to get more people on board and see where they fit. It allows people to leave at some extent. I mean, just in case they don't think that the MAP is actually helping them out. But we're quite confident that by expanding the MAP, we can eventually have like small groups, issue-specific teams who will be working on particular aspects of climate and disaster risk finance. We can have people looking at, the enabling policies that we have in the Philippines, how it works with our national policies, how it's going to work with future policy recommendations. We can have people working on piloting particular instruments with a small group of private sector actors. And right now we feel like the sky's the limit on that. Because people are signing up and people would want to focus on very specific issues, which I think the MAP overall will benefit from. But again, at the same thing, I think with this interest and with the growing experience of MAP members, the Global Shield will also benefit a lot from that. And I'll go through that in my next slide. Scaling up and replication is something that we're looking at within the country and also in the region, because we feel like that whatever works and having the same context, having the same understanding of vulnerabilities of our exposure to extreme weather events, on the uncertainties of slow onset events, we're quite hopeful that MAP will be able to be replicated in other countries beyond the current MAP country implementation. And phase 2 of MAP will try to do bits and pieces of that. So the big question which I was asked to share is, what can the Philippine MAP contribute to global discussions? And by global discussions, I think the closest and the most relevant right now would be the recently launched Global Shield. We think that the MAP will allow the bigger things such as Global Shield to put and test theory into practice. I think it's quite common that every one of us has this clear understanding of what CDRFI is, what it can do. But at the end of the day, the question remains, what's going to happen to the poorest of the poor? What's going to happen to our farmers or fisher folks, just in case CDRFI actually happens, just in case it's rolled out properly across the country? And we feel like, that the network that we've established in the national and local level for MAP will allow an easier way of putting those theories into practice. Pilot testing and policy direction will be crucial. Here in the Philippines, and I think it's similar for other Asian countries, we have a lot of pilots. We have a lot of pilot tests. We have successful pilot tests. But what we don't have the luxury of is having pilot tests that actually became sustainable later on. And a lot of that has something to do with policy. Sometimes our policy are just really old, really archaic, that it does not allow innovations such as that. That even if these innovations were successfully demonstrated by pilot tests. So a complementing relationship between the two will be really crucial, will be really important. And I think the MAP is in the right position to deliver that, not only for the Philippines, but hopefully for the region as well. And in terms of the Global Shield in particular, I have three main things. First is that a body, a network such as the Multiactor Partnership will provide a soft landing zone or spot for the Global Shield to enter into country implementation. And I say that because of the three things that I listed here in my slides. First, the MAP will allow the Global Shield to ensure that there's complementarity. The Global Shield can already build on what's already there. Because at some point, and I say this with confidence, that at some point, the principles that are being followed by the Global Shield is also the same principles being followed by MAP. And that can be seen in some of the pronouncements made by MAP, in some of the documents that are put out by MAP partners, and so on. The next thing is that because of the effort of the MAPs across, this is not only for the Philippines, but across the countries of implementation, the efforts being exerted to pull in people to join the MAP as a network. Key offices and actors are already in the know when it comes to CDRFI. It will cut down a lot of time. We just assume that everyone knows what climate and disaster risk finance is, what insurance is, how it works, how it can work for something like climate change. We just assume that because we're the same people listening to the same song over and over again. But it's a lot of work. It's surprising that key agencies, even key potential recipients of instruments such as this, do not have a well-developed understanding of what CDRFI is. And that's something that the MAP, I think, has been filling in the past 2.5 years of implementation. So because of that, Global Shield will basically enjoy the same understanding. Global Shield will enjoy having the same educated minds thinking about implementation and going beyond the theories of what CDRFI is and how it can possibly work. In short, because of MAP, Global Shield can go and dive straight into actually working on the instruments instead of building the context on why the instrument is going to be important. Next would be, coordination will be less work. And as we already know, coordination is easier said than done. It's a lot of work. It requires a lot of scheduling on the logistics side, but at the same time, it's about building rapport, building relationships, sustainable ones with key offices, key actors, and so on. So because of the MAP work on the coordination side of things, as I've said, similar to the second point, because of MAP's work in educating people and educating offices, the Global Shield can already focus on implementation, product development, policy interventions, and so on. And my last slide is, a brief picture of what we ask people to sign when they join the Multi-Actor Partnership. This is a common agreement document that was signed in the Philippines a few weeks ago during the closeout session of MAP Phase 1. It's the same document, almost the same document that was signed in Bali, Indonesia, when ICSC, together with our MAP partners, organized a regional workshop exchange with some of the Asia-based organization partners for the MAP. And the common agreement document for the Philippines, I think it sets a good foundation for future collaboration beyond MAP, but also in the Global Shield implementation. The common agreement document simply identifies like 4 major components. First is understanding the vulnerabilities. Second is recognizing the systemic problems that we have in the country. Third is recognizing the huge international clamor for more CDRFI. And fourth, I think is quite important because it's focused. The fourth paragraph is really important because it focuses on what we bring on the table as a member of the MAP consortium. And I think the last sentence, we strive towards sustaining, intensifying, and formalizing existing efforts in and support the designing of pro-poor CDRFI solutions in cooperation with the private sector, government, and the academy. I think the last sentence cannot come in a better time. Simply because of the massive amount of uncertainties that developing countries such as the Philippines is facing right now in terms of climate impacts. I mean, CDRFI, it's interesting. It's a lot of innovation, but it can only cover so much. It's part of a bigger picture. It's part of a bigger puzzle that we still have to figure out as a country. And ICSC, and I think together with the MAP, with the MAP consortium, is really happy to play part in this. So again, thank you for the opportunity for being to be part of this important side event. I apologize that I wasn't able to join you in person, but I'm always rooting for every one of you. I hope the COP in its last few days yields the success that we want to see. And I hope that your travel back to your homes are safe and efficient. Thank you and good morning.